What's going on, everybody? Welcome to your daily astrology horoscope for Wednesday, February 22nd, 2023. Astrologer Brian Scarborough here, Fixed Air Moon, keeping the collective fixed on astrology. Truly appreciate you all. Thanks for being here with me. Hope everybody's doing outstanding. Welcome to the hump day of the week, Mercury day, and I hope everybody's doing well and ready for this. Let's take a look at the chart where I think this Wednesday is going to be pretty fired up. There's a lot of Aries energy in the chart. Venus is there at 3 degrees. The moon came in and met with that Venus early in the morning. It's going to meet with Chiron. It's going to meet with Big Jupe. So lots of fire in this chart. It's Pisces season too, which is interesting just to, we're done with the new moon. Venus has left Pisces. It's just the sun, the singleton, that is hanging out here in Pisces by itself. So I think we don't want to overlook where we need to let go. We don't want to, we can kind of want to be so in our directional, identified ego or just kind of just really impulsive. I think it's good. Don't get me wrong. I like this Aries energy. I think it's going to have us fired up. But, we don't want to lose track of the spiritual side. We want to, try and get the identification or the passion or where we're going on the same page today as our spiritual side, as our emotions, our intuition. Like we want to keep some alignment here. That sun is starting to make its aspects to the nodes with a trine to the south node and a sextile to the north node. They're now at 5 degrees of Taurus and Scorpio, so that's a nice little degree shift for the nodes. And the sun will come to 4 degrees, so it's in good aspects. I think, getting back to how we're feeling is very important. This is a feeling axis, Scorpio, Taurus. Of course, Scorpio is more of a deep emotional longing feeling, if you will, and Taurus is a physical feeling. Our physical senses, our touch, our taste, smell, yada yada. And of course, Pisces is everything mixed into one, but it's very emotionally based too. So a lot of emotion, we don't want to, forget about that. Like, pay attention to your emotions. I think that it's good that we have Moon Jupiter midday because that's going to amplify our emotions. It could, in Aries, have us try to be a little forceful, have us try to be a little like, let's go in our personal lives. Again, we can, but we want to be spiritually pure and make sure that we're trusting our feelings, listening to our intuition, going with the flow. If we're just forcing through things to just force through things, by the time the moon does get to Chiron after it's with Jupiter, we could feel like, wow, I really put a lot of emotional energy and effort into something that, gosh, I broke the door down, but there was nothing behind the door, and now I have to fix the door, and that can have us feeling a little let down, if you will. And Mercury's in Aquarius, so that sun's just so singleton. It doesn't have, it's got Neptune in Pisces, right? But gosh, does Neptune even exist, right? Is this fog, this illusionary energy? Of course it does. But Neptune's often where we overlook things and where we don't put enough attention to it. We're just, kind of naive, if you will. So there's a lot of patterns. There's a lot of loop energy. We're trying to close these things out, and we're going to, I think, get a little slight test of where we're putting so much energy and so much identification or some kind of a knowing about what we're doing. And we need to remember, we really want to be in a surrendered place. We really want to be in a place of letting go, understanding with our mind that it's okay to be detached or non-attached to outcome, because we're going into a future that only every day can create. It's not about knowing the future. It's about being present every moment to create the future and to understand it and to be quick and tactical within our own minds. Right? So, interesting, not bad. Mercury's also going to trine Mars, which is the dispositor of all this Aries energy. So Mercury's over here in Aquarius trying to understand every little knob in this weird spaceship and kind of go into the future and still trying to be present. And then it's going to trine over to this Mars that's coming into the second half of Gemini, still in shadow. The only planet still in shadow, of course, besides Uranus. The only personal inner planet that is, not out of its shadow period, still trying to come to these truths and these, powerful knowings in our own mind. And this does help. This definitely can get things on the same page, but we have to be very hermetic. We have to be, able to see things from all angles. It's interesting too, this X right here next to the moon. If I clear that ink, that's actually Hermes. So I say Hermetic, and it just made me think about that. I added that to this chart. The moon will meet with Hermes, the asteroid. So yeah, it's very interesting about the Hermetic sides, being able to see all angles, being able to be objective, non-attached, take in the information, act instinctively with what's true, and not just this, belief of maybe what things used to look like, what we want them to look like, but what they really do look like. And I think that's where today can be very powerful. I think we can have a really good look at what the truth is. And it's just being present enough to see that within our soul, or to feel it within our bodies, our emotions, our life, and to be able to relate, that to others, and to have compassion, to not be so hyper focused on ourself or our own desires that we forget about the other in our lives too, and or have like a lack of compassion for something. So being very both sides, listening. Again, like, this is kind of a funny quote. It got brought up earlier today in my life, but I'm gonna say it again. It's that you can't listen if you're always talking. So there's something about being able to be present and listen and be open and be vulnerable that is helping us come to a very nice alchemization about where today can go. So it can go into a very like, I'm just going to war today. Or it can be like, you know what? I know my soul. I know what it wants to move forward with. This feels very in tune, very aligned. And I'm going to go that way. And I'm going to see what happens. And I don't need an expectation because I have faith. So it is funny because there is this like push, but there's also like, whoa, that's fine if you push, but are you okay if the outcome you desire so deeply and desperately doesn't come true? Maybe just right now, maybe it'll come true later, but maybe today we're like, oh, I really wanted this to happen, and then it didn't. How's that going? Do we get angry? How do we deal with these emotions? Can we find peace? Can we come back to ourselves? That's where I think the focus should be today. And to look at all angles and to not come to any wild conclusions. Because, yeah, Mercury's still in that square to Uranus, separating, but that was a thing. And Saturn's at 28 of Aquarius, so March 7th, it's going to make its ingress into Pisces and be locked and loaded there for the next 2.5 years. So I don't know. There's just shocking elements to life right now. Edgy, unpredictability. We can definitely want things to be so singular that we're not open to the flow. The universe has a flow. Everything's got a flow right now. How do you embed yourself into the flow instead of paddling against the current and exhausting yourself? Because today could be kind of exhausting if not dealt with in the proper spiritual manner. So the moon will also make a sextile over to Pandora's box. Been talking a lot about that. I do think that there's something about that box, that Pandora's box here. I think by coming to the place within us where we're accepting the uniqueness and the weirdness of all the things that are getting opened in our life, and we can just identify with the present and ourselves, and take accountability for our own emotions, we'll do very well. That can be very helpful today as well. And we won't see the moon get quite up to up to the sextile to Mars. So the moon's it's really not making a whole lot of aspects here at this beginning part, other than the conjunctions. So it's heavily aspected with conjunctions, not a lot of squares or nothing like that today. It is getting a -5 too, but everything else is strong. Even Venus in detriment is strong because it's sharing mutual exaltation, mutual reception of exaltation with the sun in Pisces. And it's off of that like really tight semi-square energy with Uranus. So yeah, I do think that today can bring like some really powerful sort of just like there is a direction, but it's not the direction that you have to have it, right? It's the direction that everything's just going. And if you can identify with that truth and figure out your unique way and how to navigate today that's in the flow, even if you know you can kind of like move around in the flow, you can kind of traverse a little bit. I feel like we have the strength to do that today, but it's like when you try and go just the complete opposite way upstream, you're just exhausting yourself. And that's one thing that Aries can do. It can just be this burst, this, explosive off the line energy, but then it's cardinal and it doesn't have that staying power, and it can, fizzle out. So we want to be careful not to fizzle out today and be present enough within our emotions and our feelings to know when to just, you're right, universe, I'm going to go this way. Because you go that way and you might just see, wow, thank God I did that. Because the answer I was looking for was right there for me. And we will see what is in the cards for today. Oh, look at that. The King of Cups in reverse. Pay attention to your emotions today. We're not going to be in much authority if we're just discounting feeling today. If we're overlooking or being too worried about something or some projection in life, and we're not actually paying attention to our own emotional authority, then something else outside of it's going to take that emotional authority, and who knows what wild ride and current that could look like. Like, stay in your current that the universe is pulling you in, and pay attention to that place. And the Five of Wands. This is a competition card. We got a lot of Aries in the chart. I feel like there is like we can want to kind of compete or use our energy, maybe start some fights, maybe start some battles. It's like if we're not channeling energy in the right direction, that there's something that is very directional about this Wednesday. If we're not kind of channeling it in that right direction, then we can kind of misuse things. And then we're just starting fights to start fights. Like, is that really necessary? I don't know. And is it really about winning? Is there really something you're needing to win right now? Sometimes losing is actually more important. I'm not saying that we're losers or any of you are a loser, but consider that, you can tone down the edge a little bit to be in a flow rather than just be combative, just to be combative. And the Eight of Cups in reverse. Well, of course, upright's the card of letting go, walking away, moving on. But reversed here, it's not so much about just walking away from things or turning our back. It's just staying in the flow. Because maybe we've already found the flow. Maybe we think by turning around it's just going to be the end-all be-all, the cure, like the quick fix. And it's probably not. This is probably a lot of like, it's probably going to bring up today like inner work that needs to be done to find your direction, to get back in harmony, to get back in balance with where really something more powerful than we can even really fully acknowledge or express is trying to, navigate and pull the strings in our lives. I think we find emotional authority by being in that flow. Anytime we're going the opposite way, just to go the opposite way for what, like sport, if you will, that's fine. Maybe it'll be a good workout. I'm not saying it's bad, but you'll probably be exhausted and you won't feel like you achieved what maybe you were hoping to achieve today. So I love you all very much. I hope you have a beautiful Wednesday, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Much love. Peace. Also, tonight, Lauren and I will be doing live with Lauren and Brian, and I think we're going to look at Pamela Anderson and Tommy Lee's charts. That'll be fun. And then we'll do something else too. But I'll be honest, I watched that documentary with her, with Lauren, about Pamela. I fell in love with her. Maybe it's because she's a Cancer, and I've never been like a big Pamela Anderson fan. But she's a pure soul, you know. And she always was really like authentic in herself. And she was never fake. And I know that might shock people, but if you don't believe me, watch that documentary. It might change your mind. But pretty cool. Anyways, hope you enjoy that. See you then. Have a great Wednesday. And I'll catch you next time. Much love. Peace.